Good afternoon. It's Monday, August 29th. I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Former Defense Minister and Labour Party leader Benjamin Fuad Ben Eliezer, who passed away last night at the age of 80, will be laid to rest Tuesday afternoon at the Holon Cemetery. IBA's Elon Aslan Levy takes a look into the decades-long career of the veteran politician.
Binyamin Ben Eliezer, or Fuad as he was affectionately known, died at Tel Aviv's Ichilov hospital from complications stemming from dialysis treatment after a period of prolonged ill health. Ben Eliezer was for decades one of the dominant figures in the Israeli political and defense establishments. Born in Basra, Iraq, Ben Eliezer made the perilous journey to Israel as a 12-year-old and was drafted into Golani in 1954. He climbed the ranks of the IDF, retiring at the rank of Brigadier General in 1984 as the coordinator of government activities in the territories. Ben Eliezer entered the Knesset in 1984 and served in a number of cabinet positions, including defense minister under Ariel Sharon, and was briefly Labour Party leader. A fluent Arabic speaker, Ben Eliezer was a key actor in Israel's outreach to the Arab world, a liaison with Lebanese Christians, and then the first minister to meet PLO leader Yasser Arafat. Ben Eliezer was the Labour Party's candidate for president in 2014, but was forced to bow out of the race only 3 days before the ballot after questioning by police on corruption allegations. At the time of his death, Ben Eliezer was standing trial on bribery, money laundering and fraud charges. He is survived by his wife and 5 children and will be buried tomorrow at 3:30 in Holon.
Ben Eliezer's passing prompted reactions from across the political spectrum. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu noted his long record of public service, saying he esteemed his contribution and his special personality, and telling Israel's TV Yaakov Elon that he liked him very much. Labour leader Isaac Herzog praised Ben Eliezer as a brave warrior, and Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman hailed his significant contribution to the security of Israel. President Reuven Rivlin, who beat Ben Eliezer in a 2014 contest for presidency, praised Ben Eliezer as a warm and loving man whose heart was deeply planted in the soil of this country and the fate of its people. Ben Eliezer's passing also drew attention in the Arab world, with Egyptian news outlets highlighting his closeness to former President Hosni Mubarak. In other news, efforts are underway to arrange a meeting between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas at a Moscow-sponsored peace summit in October. Reports of such a meeting emerged just days after Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said Russian President Vladimir Putin had informed him of his willingness to host direct talks between Netanyahu and Abbas. In an interview on Egyptian television, el-Sisi spoke of international efforts, including the French initiative, being invested to encourage the renewal of peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. In June, the Egyptian president called on two sides to return to the negotiation table as soon as possible, further offering to host the talks himself. Speaking at a solidarity rally for Israel in Stockholm, Yesh Atid chairman, Knesset member Yair Lapid took to task the Swedish Foreign Minister Margot Wallström for her criticism of Israel, saying if she is so concerned about human rights in the Middle East, she should address the Palestinians. It was the first time an Israeli Knesset member participated in the anti-BDS rally held for the 5th time in the Swedish capital.
Your government, and in particular, your foreign minister, are on the wrong side of history and on the wrong side of morality. If the Swedish foreign minister is concerned with human rights in the Middle East, she needs to talk about the use of children as terrorists and as human shields, about the discrimination against the gay community in the Palestinian terrorists, about the terrible the streamer-like incitement against the Jews spread by the Palestinian Authority, about the abuse of women in Gaza, about the state of human rights in Iran.
When a school becomes a rocket factory, it should be called for what it is, a rocket factory. Could we have bombed this school from the air? Shell it with long-range artillery at no danger to ourselves? Of course. But we knew that some people may still be inside, since we had seen before how Hamas forces Palestinians to stay in guard building entrances with their own bodies.
This rally today is called Taking Back Zionism, something that is very important in Sweden today. Too long have we seen Zionism or anti-Zionism being the excuse for going after Jews and going after Israel.
Despite the nuclear deal signed between Israel and the world powers, it appears that Islamic Republic is going ahead with plans to construct 2 additional nuclear plants in the southern port city of Bashir, along with the existing nuclear plant. IBA's Marko Dutkevich reports.
The Islamic Republic has announced plans to construct 2 additional nuclear plants in the country, Bushehr Phase 2. The plants are to be built in the southern port city of Bushehr, alongside the existing Russian-built plant already operational after its completion in 2011. Behrouz Kamalvandi, spokesman for the country's Atomic Energy Agency organization, said President Hassan Rouhani has given the go-ahead for the new plants and earmarked some $10 billion for the project. He said construction will begin in the near future. Media reports out of Russia said an agreement to expand civilian nuclear energy cooperation that would lead to the construction of a total of 8 nuclear reactors at Bushehr was signed by Moscow and Tehran in November 2014. Kamalvandi said until now his country has completed 7 national nuclear projects with the cooperation of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and that an additional 9 research projects are still underway. Meanwhile, in a related issue, Tehran said it has deployed the recently delivered Russian-made S-300 long-range missile air defense system to protect its Fordow nuclear facility. Images broadcast on Iranian television stations showed the S-300 missile system transported to the facility and then positioned with its missiles raised towards the sky. Commander of the country's air defense, General Fawzad Esmaili, said protecting the country's nuclear facilities is paramount and boasted Iran's airspace as being one of the most secure in the region. The nuclear site at Fordow ceased enrichment of uranium after the implementation of the nuclear agreement reached with the West that saw the Islamic Republic dismantle a large majority of its centrifuges to enrich uranium. 2 years of negotiations between the Islamic Republic and the 5+1 countries, the US, Britain, France, Germany, China and Russia, to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions, led to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action last year, under which Iran agreed to eliminate its stockpile of enriched uranium and reduce its number of centrifuges by 2/3. It also agreed that for a period of 15 years it would enrich uranium up to 3.67% and would not build new heavy water facilities. All this in exchange for the lifting of economic sanctions. Earlier this month, Ali Akbar Salehi, head of the country's atomic energy organization, described the new construction at the Bushehr plant as a tsunami in Iran's nuclear industry. Marko Dutkevich, IBA News.
Meanwhile, the Islamic Republic has accused a member of its team of delegates who negotiated the nuclear deal with the world powers of spying. Reports out of Iran accuse the unnamed suspect of infiltrating the country's nuclear team and said he had been released on bail but is still under investigation. It is unclear whether the recent revelation is linked to a report last week by the Iranian news agency Tabnik, which said Abdul Rasul Isfahani, a dual national in charge of banking during the 2 years of negotiations with the West to curb Iran's nuclear program, had been arrested for selling the country's economic details to foreigners. In a later interview with the news agency, Isfahani called the accusations ridiculous. However, a Tehran prosecutor was quoted by the news agency saying Isfahani was linked to the British espionage service. The trial of Elor Azaria, the IDF soldier accused of manslaughter for shooting a neutralized terrorist in Hebron last March, resumed today at the Jaffa Military Court. Today's defense witnesses included Azaria's platoon commander, who testified that, contrary to other officers on the scene, he too felt an imminent threat from the disabled terrorist. He said he instructed Azaria to shoot the terrorist if he detects him moving. A bomb expert also told the court that explosive procedures were not accurately followed after the incident. The expert, who testified behind closed doors, stated that the terrorist's body should not have been moved without proper clearance. He stressed the severe danger that a bomb vest could have posed, validating Azaria's argument, which claims that he shot the terrorist after realizing that he was life-threatening and that commanders on the scene didn't take the threat seriously. A soldier from the Netzer Yehuda battalion of the Kfir Brigade, who shot dead a Palestinian near Silwad in the West Bank on Friday, is being questioned by military police on suspicions of involuntary manslaughter. Palestinian media reports said Iyad Hamad was unarmed and shot in the back and said he suffered from mental illness. The military police are investigating the Palestinians' claims and intend to speak to witnesses in order to determine if the soldier upheld the rules of engagement. Hamed reportedly ran towards soldiers when he was shot. The soldier's defense attorney said his client acted in a manner expected of him. During initial questioning, the soldier said he called upon Hamed to stop but opened fire after determining the situation was life-threatening. Defense Minister Lieberman touched upon the incident of this soldier as well as Elor Azaria during a tour in the Bedouin communities in the south today. He said that the soldiers are innocent until proven otherwise. Lieberman stressed it was up to the court to determine if they were guilty or not, and surely not the job of the media. A soldier who is fighting terror daily cannot be accompanied by a lawyer, he said. The media should show solidarity with the IDF instead of with its enemies. In finance, the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange was mixed in a day of light trading, and the shekel was also mixed in trading. Here are the numbers. Turning to the weather, and the forecast calls for partly cloudy skies tomorrow with no change in temperatures. Here are the expected highs and lows at home and abroad for the next 24 hours. That's all for today. Please join us again tomorrow when Elon Aslan Levy will be here to bring you the latest breaking news from Israel. We leave you now with footage of a border patrol boat accompanied by a school of dolphins spotted off the country's southern shores. I'm Ariel Sullivan, wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.